Imagine being forced to wear a heavy, down-filled winter parka in 100-degree heat with no way to unzip it. For a bird, feathers are extraordinary insulation designed to keep heat in. And in the peak of summer, that same insulation becomes a suffocating trap because birds have absolutely no sweat glands. This is the invisible battle happening in your yard right now. But here's the deal. Some of the things you think are helping, like that bird bath or your favorite metal feeder, might actually be making things worse. Today, we're going behind the scenes of the struggle for survival in your trees and how you can turn your yard from a danger zone into a sanctuary. A bird's normal body temperature is already a feverish 104 degrees. When the air hits 90 or 100, they are pushed to their absolute limit. You'll see them gular fluttering. That's when they vibrate their throat muscles to evaporate moisture from their airways. It's the bird version of panting, but it costs them everything. A tiny chickadee, weighing just 11 grams, can lose 5% of its entire body weight in water in just 1 hour of panting. For a human, that's like losing 4 liters of water in 60 minutes. Without fresh water to replace those losses, a bird can be dead before sundown. Not in days, but in hours. Watch for the radiator pose. If a bird holds its wings slightly away from its body, it's exposing the thin skin underneath where there are fewer feathers and more blood vessels. They are literally trying to dump internal heat into the air. If you see a bird standing perfectly still with drooped wings and an open beak, you're looking at an animal at its physiological limit. But don't confuse a bird in crisis with one that's just chilling. If you see a bird flat on the ground in the sun with its wings spread, it might just be sunbathing to maintain its feathers and get rid of parasites. If it's in the sun and has its head raised, it's likely fine. But if you find a bird collapsed in the shade, unable to move or lift its head, that is heat exhaustion. That bird needs help. Move it gently to a cool, dark, ventilated box and call a wildlife rehabber immediately. And whatever you do, don't force feed it water. We also need to talk about our own backyards. Most of us have a bird bath, but if that water sits for more than a day in the heat, you're running a bacteria farm. Warm, stagnant water is a breeding ground for diseases like salmonellosis that can kill dozens of birds in a single yard. You've got to scrub that bath and replace the water every single day. Then there's the metal trap. On a 95-degree day, a metal feeder perch can reach 140 degrees. That's hot enough to burn skin on contact. If your feeder is metal and sits in the sun, birds are being forced to choose between food and pain. Simply moving that feeder into the shade takes 30 seconds, and it changes everything. Notice how your yard goes quiet between 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. That's what researchers call heat-induced lethargy. The birds aren't gone. They're hiding in the deepest shade, shutting down their movement to keep their bodies from generating more heat. This is also a critical time for nestlings you can't even see. Inside a birdhouse or a cup nest, temperatures can skyrocket to 110 degrees or more. Parent birds will often stand over their chicks for hours, spreading their wings to act as a living umbrella, sacrificing their own cooling to save their babies. If the parent has to leave for too long to find water because they are overheating, those chicks can die in minutes. So how do we fix it? The single biggest thing you can do is add moving water. Birds can hear the sound of a drip or a splash from a long way off, and in the heat, that sound is a magnet. You don't need a fancy fountain. Even a jug with a pinhole dripping into a shallow dish works wonders because it prevents the stagnant layer where bacteria thrive. Also, remember that in a heat wave, shade matters more than seed. Propping up an umbrella, a shade cloth, or a piece of plywood over your feeders and baths lets birds eat and drink without entering the danger zone of direct sunlight. Yards with deliberate shade structures see significantly higher bird activity because the food becomes reachable without costing them their lives. Every summer day is a race against the sun. The birds emerge before dawn to eat and drink before the heat becomes dangerous, and they return again in the golden hour before dark. When they visit your yard, it shouldn't just be because it's the closest one. It should be because you made it survivable. Take 5 minutes today. Scrub that bath, move that metal feeder to the shade, and keep the water moving. These aren't signs of a lazy summer day. They are distress signals. You aren't just feeding birds, you're providing a sanctuary where the heat doesn't win.